Hey there, StarCraft fans! It's Falcon Paladin coming at ya with yet another edition of StarCraft Brood War Remastered. Today, gonna be a match between White-Ra and tkfkdrudqh. Top right, it's our brown Protoss White-Ra, and on the bottom left, it is TK. I have no idea who this is, but I kind of feel like he participated in the TSL. Anyway, so it's a PvP. I like to do these once a month. Got a patron named Daniel who wants me to do these. So, hey, this is for you, Daniel. Alright, so White-Ra is Ukrainian. There's a lot of stuff going on in his side of the world. I hope he stays safe. And we're thinking about you, White-Ra. Stay safe, please. We really do like your presence on the internet and in the StarCraft universe. And again, hope you are safe. All right, so here we are on Fighting Spirit. If you're sick of Fighting Spirit, last week I cast a game on a brand new map called Vermeer. It is light, yeah, light versus YSC. It's kind of a weird game on a weird map, so if you're sick of Fighting Spirit, go ahead and check that out if you haven't already. Alright, so both players scouting the wrong way, but to be fair, scouting cross-spawn is not very common. And by that I mean I've never seen a player do that on this map. So cross-spawn positions are very, very safe. But you don't know that you're cross-spawn until you scout your opponent. So, Anyway, it's PvP scenarios here. It's the same build no matter what, unless you're trying to cannon rush your opponent, which nobody's doing here. They're throwing up gateways inside the main base. They're both getting an assimilator. They're both making a zealot with said aforementioned gateway, etc., etc., etc. PvP is kind of the most mirrory of mirrory matchups in Brood War. Like, this opening is just what you do in PvP, man. It's kind of the same thing in StarCraft 2, actually, except what you want to do here is go for a gateway into a cyber core into a gateway, which makes sense. It would probably work here too, honestly. But Pylon coming up inside the mineral line of TK from White-Ra. Kind of trolling a little bit here, right? Just trying to mess up the pathing of these probes a tiny bit, slowing down the income a bit. But was it worth spending 100 minerals on? I don't know. Look at him continuing to troll back here too. Using one of his probes to mine on these minerals so the enemy won't mine on it because it's already being used. Oh, he got a mouthful and that ends that game. I don't see that a lot, honestly. But regardless, both players are scouting each other all to the nines at the moment. Both players getting cybernetics cores out. TK is making another zealot, but actually so is White-Ra now. So that pylon is dead. Did he throw up another one? It's hard to tell. When they're warping in, you can't tell who's warping in what. So no, he didn't. White-Ra doesn't have another pylon coming in. That'd be kind of nuts. That would probably just be a total waste of the resources in this stage of the game, and wasting resources in the first 3 minutes is really bad, actually. Like, super bad. So anyway, Dragoons are a big part of this matchup. Drops are a massive part of this matchup. Storm drops and Reaver drops are really, really common in PvP. But also, just general Storm and Reaver attacks. Like, here might be a big side of a future Storm Reaver style attack. Archons are pretty good, too. So let's see what we're getting here from both of these players. I will try to make sure we get all the drops. Having a brown player on Fighting Spirit is rough. I have seen some complaints about colors for players over the last couple weeks, and I'm sorry. Like, the best I could do for a lot of these is either yellow versus yellow, which doesn't help anyone, or whatever the default in the game that they gave me is, which is brown versus blue, which is not as good as red versus blue. And like, I've had to cast games where it's like this shade of green versus this shade of green, which is not great either. Or like red versus green, which a red-green color line people hate, and they can't deal with that. And it's just like, I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do about it. I love you. And every time I come into a game, and I check to see if I can red versus blue, because sometimes you can. Like, if the map is an official ladder game, or an official, like, designated top versus bottom match, where one team is top and one team is bottom, we can red versus blue it. But a lot of these are just, you're practicing with a player, you're both jumping into a custom map, you're just setting whatever the default is, and then you're just allying, or non-allying rather, inside the game. And if that happens, the replay doesn't know who's on what team. probably could be smart, I suppose, to do that, but if they could figure out how to make replays, figure that stuff out, but whatever. It's never going to happen. Maybe with Microsoft buying the company and coming into possession into it like next summer, like 2023, maybe that'll happen. Observatory is out from TK. A little bit of harassment / scouting happening here. Natural base is on the way from White Raw, and TK doesn't have a second base yet, which means he's been able to make a few more Dragoons than what White Raw is rolling with. Also, White Raw getting more gateways, which is always nice when you're on more bases to have more production, etc., etc. You know how this works. You are aware. TK's Naturals coming up now. And interestingly enough, yeah, this Observatory Fast seems to be, we're worried about DTs from White Raw, but nah. Nothing to worry about, but you can't scout that, so you don't know. Robotics Facility is on the way from White Raw now, but we're behind on that tech from TK. TK's been teching up better. He's getting his robotic support bay pretty quickly. And so if White Raw wants to have some Reavers to do with the enemy Reavers, he's got to get on that robotic support bay super post-haste. Yeah, I mean, heck, maybe it's just an observer for observing purposes rather than for seeing DTs. Because they're pretty good at that, too, it turns out. Best scouter thing in the game. Detects cloak things and is cloaked. Unheard of. Unheard of utility. Observatory's on the way from White Raw, again, probably for the same purposes. And again, DTs are pretty common in this matchup, too, so it makes sense. Get an Observatory out before the 10-minute mark at least. But Reaver production's begun from TK. He's starting to mount a bit of an offense across the map here, but coming across this bridge is a defender's paradise. You want to be really, really careful not to get choked up here and have a concave enemies firing on your face as you come there. So keep that in mind. Dragoons firing away. A couple of Zealots come up front to absorb some shots and get some damage done, and they do kill one of the Dragoons first. Now it's generally Dragoon versus Dragoon, which is not something TK likes, and says, hey, come onto this bridge. Never mind, I'm outnumbered. There's too many Dragoons here for me to handle. Nobody has any upgrades yet. Nobody has a forge yet, of all things. Reaver up, as predicted. I mean, not as predicted. We saw it in the production tab, okay? Also, I guess while I have you, a quick plug here for my Sunday streams. If you want to stop by on Sundays, starting 11 a.m. Eastern in the U.S. for like 3 or 4 hours. Who am I kidding? 5 or 6 hours I'm out there streaming games. Feel free to come by and say hello and see what games I'm casting and what games we're playing live on stream. It's honestly a pretty good time. I think about you watch the VODs, so you probably know what it's all about. Shuttle coming in, always a good friend of the Reaver from the very start of StarCraft. Reavers are slow. Shuttles fix that problem. Always have, always will. So Shuttle coming in here too from White Raw. When White Raw makes shuttles, it's special tactics. I don't know what to tell you. TK's shuttle usage, not special tactics. White Raw's special tactics. Is it the exact same thing? Kind of. But you know what? White Raw coined the term. We love White Raw so much, we're good to go. It reminds me of a story that In Control told about White Raw once. I was watching a video, I think it was Day 9 remembering In Control after he passed away a few years ago. And In Control was telling a story about how White Raw, they were at some event in Korea, I think, like a lot of just foreigner players, Americans, obviously Ukrainians were there, Europeans too, Polish players, and everybody like got up and one by one gave a little speech to the assembled Korean representatives of the tournament, right? We'll finish the story later. We're going Dragoons on Dragoons here. Reavers coming out from both sides. Connection. 1 Reaver hit. 2 Reaver hits. 3 Reaver hits. Reavers are getting some really nice connections here. But that Reaver's dead. And this Reaver getting pretty solid micro happening here. They're both trying to... No, he gets a hit off. White Raw wins that battle. Excellent stuff. So everybody's giving their presentations in English because, you know, English is the... Ooh, actually getting the better of it here is TK. I thought he just lost that battle. That was amazing. Anywho, so everyone gets up and gives a little presentation about who they are, you know, and where they're from and why they love StarCraft. And thank you for letting us be here, etc. And thank you for us competing. And Whiterun gives up, and in pretty thick accented English, right? Just bright smiling face, launches into just this big long spiel in English about how much he loves StarCraft and how great the community is. And In Control's like, I could understand him because I know Whiterun. I've been around him for years, but those Korean representatives had no idea. No idea what he was saying. Their faces were confusion the whole time. And Whiterun was not perturbed by that. He just continued along, finished his speech with a flourish and a big wide smile, and thanked them and got down, and the Korean dudes are just like, all right, they bowed politely, and they're like, all right, thank you, next. Just completely lost. That's just Whiterun in a nutshell. He's just willing to share his love of StarCraft with anybody he comes across. And you know what? If you have a hard time understanding him, it doesn't matter. It doesn't stop him at all. He's there to share that love, period. Third base coming in from TK. Yeah, pretty similar tech paths here. I guess there's a Templar Archives up. Yeah, DTs are on the way from Whiterun now. So we are getting Le Dark Templar, and this third base, which the Observer sees. And then the aggression is real here. He's like, I won that last battle, says TK. I can expand and attack, right? No, I can't. There's 2 Reavers I have to deal with, and I only have 1. That's not fair. You're right. Maybe it's not fair. Maybe it's not fair. Friend TK. Whiterun has a pylon down here, which is not really doing anything but maybe scouting. Taking a third base of his own. Whiterun a little bit behind the third base of this TK player. And I don't know who this is. This is probably a Smurf of somebody whose name we would recognize, but he's running with a Smurf name that hasn't been recorded. This was probably played all the way back in 09-ish, 08, and so that's just too long ago. That is so long ago now. When I first started casting Brood War in 2015, 2009 was 6 years ago. You know, hop, skip, and a jump. But now it's a full 13 years ago, which is crazy to me, and that's just so much more time. Anyway, we're going to throw down a DT and a Reaver combination to try to kill this third base. Connection. Oh, that actually connected. I thought that was too long out. Oh, that's a big hit, too. This poor cannon's going to die. Oh, wow. Okay, really. 2 HP left on that thing, huh? Nice. Pick it up. Get out. Unload the DT. Crap, there's detection. Get the DT back here, too. You're distracted by the DT. Fire away. But the shuttle is dead. And the Reaver dies, too. So was that a worth attack for Whiterun? I don't know that it was. I mean, he killed a cannon. He killed some probes, which is awesome. He's still down in worker count by 3. So I don't know. TK is doing some good work. Appreciate DT is not getting much work for TK either. So overall, TK is doing fine. Kidder and Amulet coming on, increasing that High Templar energy is real nice. 116 to 113 supply. It's really even, y'all. This game is not anywhere near complete here at 13 minutes and fleet seconds. Speed's on the way for Zealots for TK, so that's cool stuff. Yep, so there's our storm. We've seen the Reavers, now we're seeing the Psionic Storm being dropped on both sides. The weather outside is frightful, ladies and gentlemen. Dragoons are just kind of standing and taking it here. Not a ton of micro to behold. Kind of maybe trying to get out of this one a little bit, but not as much as you would think they would. And just never-ending Psionic Storms from Whiterun. Completely, I don't want to say completely crushing that because he has like 5 Dragoons left after that battle, so he's not exactly killing it. It's 79 to 78 supply. I would say that was pretty even as far as the resources lost and units lost were concerned that there today. A big old transfer of probes from the natural base to the third base would be a great idea from Whiterun. Looks like we've already kind of done that here from TK. Doesn't seem to have oversaturations anywhere. He's doing a good job with that. So like I said, TK, great player. I don't know who he is. He's probably somebody whose name we would recognize, but he's giving Whiterun everything he can handle. And if you can give Whiterun everything that Whiterun can handle, guess what? You're a good StarCraft player. We should probably know who you are. So if you're tkfkdrudqh, that has a Q at the end, isn't it? That makes it so hard to read and to pronounce. Anyway, and you're watching this, let us know who you are, or at least who your player name was back then, because I don't know, Google doesn't know what this is. TK maybe going to try to take a 4th base. Kind of scary thing to do in a PvP is get that 4th base up, because a really strong army is going to show up and start murdering you at any moment, which is exactly what Whiterot is up to here. The cannons at the top of the ramp are buying some time to allow time for defense to come in from TK and try to save it. Beautiful storms again from Whiterot. Storm, all the storms. That High Templar has enough energy for 0 storms. Yep, the Archons are in the mix. Reaver's just here to get some shots off on probes. Oh, this storm takes down the shuttle the Reaver was in. He loaded it up to save it, but no. Shuttles aren't exactly tanky either. And then Whiterot pulling back. Not able to kill this 3rd base, killing some probes, but TK's at 43 workers to 41 for Whiterot. So again, a couple probes die for TK, and he's still up in total worker count compared to the Ukrainians. So that's amazing. Did take a 4th base. TK decided, well, if he's attacking my 3rd, he probably doesn't know the 4th base is up here, so let's do that. Let's just take a quick 4th. It'll be totally fun. Finally, a forge is on the way from Whiterot. I think the first forge of the game. I want to say, I could be wrong, and I often am, but oh yeah, +1 attack is done for TK. He has a forge, which is here. I found it. Aha. No attack upgrades for Whiterot yet, so he's working on it. There you go. He's working on that. Is that a 2nd forge in production then? Is that what I saw? Just don't know. Because that's almost done. I'm very confused. Everything's fine. TK, wow. Thinking about taking a 5th base here, too. TK might just straight up win this game, y'all. Gonna be honest. I pulled up this replay, and I was like, Whiterot versus some unknown Protoss player. Whiterot will probably wipe the floor with him. But that is not happening. Whiterot is kind of slow to expand. He's having a hard time with it. He's trying to kill TK with these attacks and these special tactics with the Reavers and the shuttles and the whatnots. And, that actually connected. Some of these Reaver shots have really been later than I expected them to be able to have any potency, and they're still connecting. So yeah, he's trying to, and every time he kills some probes, actually, now Whiterot has a worker lead at 45 to 40. So that one worked. That one did exactly what you needed to do, but TK's got a 4th base rolling. He's really considering a 5th here, but there's an enemy pylon, so expanding here just alerts Whiterot to exactly what's happening. Which is why this probe's like staring at the position and not doing it. He doesn't have the money for it either, in all fairness. And expanding here would be a pretty greedy move, but you know, he's up 163 to 147 total supply. He's a bigger army than Whiterot does. We've kind of gone into this Archon Storm Dragoon stuff. Reavers aren't really part of the main battle composition, but you know, Reaver drops. Just keeping a shuttle out here with a single Reaver in it, and is enough to put the fear of Whiterot into this TK player for at least the next couple minutes. But the base count, it often doesn't lie. It doesn't often lie, I guess is what I'm trying to say here. If you're at 4 bases to 3 bases and you're in a PvP and there's an extra gas and the total supply is 20 higher than Whiterot's in trouble. That's it. That's basic math. You've all learned it from all the time watching Brood War over the years. You know exactly what that's all about. And it looks like TK is going to get this thing. I don't want to caster curse it, but it's more stuff. But you know, some beautiful storms, maybe combined with some special tactics. Right? When TK is all trying to micro and dodge against Storm here and get his own storms off and micro his Archons around to the front. Then, oh no, he just goes in now. I was like, are you going in? Die, Dragoon. Yeah, Reaver. Oh, you came back. Why would you come back? He's gonna get him. Oh, the engagement is happening up here. I told you. Oh, so many Archons. So much storm happening too. Just everybody getting stormed. Dragoons, Zealots. Nobody is spared from the terrible weather happening right now. TK down to 35 total workers. Archons are doing great against enemy Zealots especially, but still not too bad against Dragoons. No. White Raw's going to win this battle. He's got a DT in here hacking away. There's no detection from TK. Archons in a very personal head-to-head battle. No. Pretty sure that is a White Raw Archon. It's dead now. Oh, detection shows up. It's 105 to 82 supply. 44 to 37 total workers. The economy of the third base of TK is not happy, but the fourth is doing great. DT getting a nice final parting shot off there. So I did call this game for TK a couple of minutes ago, and he's up 116 to 96. Yeah, he's got reinforcements popping out. Does he bring detection with him? Because these DTs are getting some swipes, and nobody's specifically attacking them. Storm can accidentally fire on them, and Archon splash damage works really nicely too, but the DTs are all that's left for White Raw. It's 113 to 82 supply now. Where are his obs? He's not producing any. He's got 2 coming. Okay, so 2 are out. They're going to come join this party. The DTs are buying some time. Sniping a High Templar with the DTs is hot stuff too. They recognize, okay, there's probably an observer coming at some point. So let's hoof it out of here as fast as we can, which isn't great. We power walk more than we really run. I mean, to be honest, everything power walks in this game. Nothing is a full sprint, unless we're talking about maybe Zerglings with speed are sprinting, and Marines with stim are probably sprinting too. But it sure is just a walking animation, isn't it? 123 to 98 supply. White Raw just being completely unable to get off of 3 base. He's mined out of his natural too, which means he's only on a 1 base economy, which means his ability to overcome. Why would you send everybody up here? There's nothing here. There we go. So he pokes up to see what's what. There's nothing there. A big swell of Dragoons joining the party. 7 Zealots at a time in production here from TK. And White Raw's only making 3 Dragoons and a Zealot. So, okay, 4 High Templar too. He's fine, I guess, but there's the double observer, so the DT's effectiveness has been greatly reduced. TK pushing strong. White Raw backed into a corner. 137 to 107 supply. Both players, that's a +2 actually. +2, +1, +1. All right. So better upgrades from White Raw, but is there enough to hold against the TK onslaught of just Dragoons? The answer is not really no. Dragoons are dying. The storm placement from White Raw is excellent. It's very good, but suddenly there's a Protoss army in White Raw's Protoss natural. And it's 129 to 71 supply, and it's a significantly higher army count for TK here, and I think he's just got it. I mean, spending time killing this assimilator is this Nexus is a little bit of a total waste of time. If I were TK, I would 100% go and attack. Oh, gets that Reaver. The third base and shut down all of the income of White Raw, but this is working out pretty well for him too. It's not a ginormous scary army here. It is what? It is 10 Dragoons and an Archon, so sure. This ramp gets stormed, everybody dies. The stutter step play is beautiful from TK. And bam, GG! White Raw taps out. And TK says, all right, let's rematch, good buddy. And he does. And White Raw with the good manner, because it's White Raw. So, of course, he has the best manner. He never rage quits. He's always very friendly and very GG. So, well done. I mean, honestly, a very, very fantastic display there from this TK player, who I should probably find more of his games. I feel like I've got some in my replay folders, and I'm just I don't know who this is, so I'm not going to cast him. But he just beat White Raw straight up in a PvP. So, hey, that's not bad. White Raw never got past the third base. I don't know that he even really tried to go for a fourth, which I find extremely concerning. If you're a White Raw fan, you're like, why didn't you get a fourth base, White Raw? But, White Raw's not a world champion. He's a great player. He's just not quite at the level of the best, right? You're the best around. And look at how important it is this natural is still mining for TK, right? He's got a third base mining, a second base mining, and a fourth base mining, and he is expanding to a fifth in this top left corner too. So, I mean, sick plays. And just overall, not an overwhelming victory here from TK. He just had a bigger army a couple different times, won some battles, got himself up, and then he was up like 50 supply, and that makes it a lot easier to get that win in the end, which is exactly what he did. Just kind of walked in, good micro, weathered some storms, got the win. 183,000 points from TK, 163 from White Raw, makes sense. Outproduced White Raw, outkilled White Raw, and lost fewer units than White Raw. That is a good winning strategy. As far as buildings raised, not that big of a deal. And resources here from TK, 45,000 spent to 41,000 spent from White Raw. Both players spending their banks really excellently too if you were watching that up. If you were watching that happen throughout the game. I didn't talk a whole lot about it, but both players spending their money very well in this game. They're both excellent players for sure. And 322 APM from TK. So, again, no slouch. This is not some amateur who's casually participating in TSL and defeating White Raw, okay? Okay. So we'll figure out more of this guy. Maybe somebody has some information. So anyway, that is going to be it for me today, though. This has been Falcon Paladin coming at you with yet another edition of StarCraft Brood War Remastered. Go ahead, hit that like button, hit that subscribe if you like what you saw and what you heard today. You can also catch me on Twitter, Facebook, Patreon, and Twitch, all at /Falcon Paladin. And until next time, as always, thank you so much for watching, and you take care of yourself.